I wanted to change the oil and the oil filter on my Airman AX-08 excavator. Since there wasn't much info to be found on the video, I thought I'd tape it myself. I'm not a seasoned mechanic, just try to see how it goes. According to sources, it should be done every 250 hours. It is due to be done. 300 hours have passed. 11 years ago it was done. This seemed to be the oil drain plug. It looks suspiciously like an oil drain plug, and that proved to be correct. There isn't much room between the drain plug and the frame. Not enough room for a torque wrench, so I used a regular wrench, 90 millimeters. I let it run idle for about 10 minutes. Diesels don't heat up as fast as a regular gas engine. So I thought I'd give it a little longer, and the oil came out flowing nice. So I guess it was long enough to get it flowing good. We'll measure up how much oil there is later, so it's easier to put in the right amount. So just set it apart until then. Putting in the drain plug again. I of course changed the washer for a new copper one. You don't want any leaks. I don't want to risk any leaks, at least. Again, there isn't much room for a torque wrench. It doesn't fit, so I decided to just torque it by hand to what seemed to be a nice amount of torque. Surely not too hard. Don't want to risk stripping the threads, but I don't think it will be coming out anytime soon. I thought I should measure how much oil had come out, so I know how much to put back in, and that turned out to be 1 3/4 of a liter. I sped up this footage a bit, so we don't have to wait too long. The oil was pretty dark. Well, it was to be expected after 300 hours of running. Surely there was a little bit oil left in the filter too. I didn't capture that on tape, but when I had to remove the filter, there was also a little bit of oil coming out. Well, the filter is a little bit hard to reach. At least you can't reach it from the top. You can see it down there. Also isn't much room to get it off, but you can get your hands in there from the downside. I had ordered a filter from a shop, and this was supposed to be the right one. I had a whole set of filter keys, but there was no space to get them on. So in the end I used my old filter wrench to get it off, which well, wasn't too easy, but it went okay. And then we saw that the filter that I had ordered, that was supposed to be the right one, didn't fit at all. It looked more like a standard high flow 303 filter that I normally use for my motorcycles. It's about the same size. One is a little bit higher, so it's just, I hope I can get it on. I always buy the filters with a nut on top, so you can get them off a little bit easier. I don't have much. It was very hard to film this line under the truck, so there's not a lot of footage getting the filter on, but it did fit with a nut. Don't forget to oil the seal and clean the surface before installing. If you don't have any more room, and because I used the filter with a nut, I could also torque it on a little bit. Not with a torque wrench, there was no space, but with a regular wrench. The dipstick is behind the battery. Maybe you can get it out with the battery in place, but I've never tried that. It seems a little hard, so I always remove the battery to get to the dipstick. And the oil should probably go into the hole that is labeled oil. All we know, we have to put in 1 3/4, and I put in 1.8 liters because there was also a little bit in the filter, as I said. So let's start with that, and then let's look what we have after it runs for a little while. I used the 10W40 oil. It seemed what most sources on the internet agreed on was right for this type of engine. Of course, it also depends on the climate that you're in, so it could be a different grade if you're living somewhere else, but just make sure it's suited for diesel engines. I think that is most important. And now the final test. Let's start it up. It started up quite easy. I think better than with the old oil. Might have been a little bit easier to get it through the filter. Let's start it. Starting, and after it ran a little while, I checked the dipstick to see if the oil level was in spec, and it's around about half between the markers, which seems about right, a little bit above that. Not too high and not too low. And I put on a new label with the hours and the date, so I can check that. And once again, I'm not a professional mechanic. I think this works for me. I've done it correctly, but use this info at your own risk.